Hi there and welcome to Our Cottage Garden. I love cottage gardening. It's such an easy way of having color in your garden all throughout the season. It's easy to succession plant and to really pick those highlighted features throughout the season. In this video, I'm going to be sharing all of the annuals that are performing really well right now. The leaves are already starting to change, so we're sort of at the beginning of autumn here, even though we're just at the beginning of August. But we sort of live in the land of autumn and winter here. Honestly, we're lucky to have any blooms in any color. So I just wanted to sort of walk through and share some of the things that are looking fantastic. One of which is right where you are. So over here on our rose arbor, we planted Cobia scandens, the cup and saucer vine, and it has just woven its way all the way up and over. We also have roses up our rose arbor, obviously. We have an Eden climbing rose on this side and a Zephyrine Drouin rose on this side. But you know, they struggle, and so that's why I love having annual climbers. We also have Morning Glory climbing up, but the Cobia scandens is the one that I really wanted to highlight. The cup and saucers themselves are just so fairy-like and whimsical. This one's been eaten a little bit, looks like, but oh my gosh, they've been totally left alone other than those little spots. They start out, they open to this limey green, and then as they open, they turn kind of soft lilac, and then they turn this deep, rich purple. They are amazing, and it's so fun to just see them. See, they're covered in these really interesting, almost spaceship-like buds. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And they're really large. And then when the flower falls off, these calyxes, the saucer of the cup and saucer, they stay up like that. So they're actually, you don't need to deadhead them. They don't look bad. When a bloom dies, well, it's a keeper for sure. But they are just really prolific. They're fast growers. So cup and saucer vine, I would say, is just a new favorite that I'm always going to grow. And I think I want to start them from seed next year, although I do know it takes quite a while to get those going. Okay, our next one here that I wanted to talk about is the plain the blue salvia. This one for us, it's always going to be one that we grow because it's just such a performer. The hummingbirds, the bumblebees, the butterflies love this one. I love the beautiful leaves. It just looks healthy. It grows so large. It's a fantastic annual. And it's a really nice one for stair stepping, adding some bulk. The spires of purpley blue are really unique. You don't have to deadhead them because when they die back, the calyxes stay this kind of lavender color. Purpley blue color, so you don't need to deadhead them. Bloom after bloom after bloom is just amazing, and as you can see, the bumblebees just go crazy for them. This is our dahlia. Look how pretty that pink dinner plate is. But here is the next one I wanted to talk about. Now this one is a variety of Cleome, and this is our first time growing Cleome in this garden, and I will always have this in our garden from now on. It's enormous. I mean, it's gotten bigger than our plain the blue salvias and wider and, you know, taller. So it's just one of those that I'm so glad I tried out. The color marries beautifully so many of our perennials. You know, we have these astilbes and it really mimics that color of the astilbes that are blooming this time of year. The phlox that are blooming, very similar color and sort of bloom structure. So that's really nice to have the phlox in the back of the border. Kind of marries the pinks that we have with the blues, just all around an absolutely fantastic annual. So beautiful. And this one is the Senorita Rosalita Cleome. Wonderful, wonderful proven winners. Flower, it's always covered in flowers. The hummingbirds love this one as well. So do the bumblebees. They're probably mad that I'm here, so I'm gonna move on. So the next one that I wanna show you is another new one for us. It's this Super Petunia Mini Vista Plum Veined, kind of a mouthful, but oh my gosh, it's worth it because it is so beautiful. You know, I've shared this before here in years past that we just really struggle with slugs on our petunias. I love petunias. I think they're a fantastic cottage garden plant, and I think they can be used in all different kinds of applications. And the slugs usually by this time of year have like completely decimated all of the blooms, but not on these. They just tumble over with all of these beautiful blooms. And plum veined is such a great name for it because the outer parts of the petal of the trumpet are sort of a soft, kind of lilac-y color, purpley pink. And then as it gets deeper toward the throat of the trumpet, it's veined with this plum color, and it's just really, really beautiful. And then if you can kind of see on the outside, it gets really dark toward the base of the trumpet. But if you look into each of them, it looks purple, really purple on the inside. I'm not sure if that's going to show up on camera, but it creates this really interesting looking flower and canopy of blooms. Just an absolutely wonderful one. I think it's so fantastic, and I love how it looks tumbling over onto our cobblestone pathway. I wish we had planted more of these, honestly. Look at that, this is the same one. They grow really prolifically, so they bury their blooms. And you know, you can see that there's slug damage, but they just move so quickly and bloom so fiercely that it doesn't even matter. Fantastic, fantastic annual. And then here we have, we've grown this before, but not in this garden. This is the Petunia Vista bubblegum, a very popular one for good reason, because it's doing the similar thing. It's just sort of taking over, looking really, really gorgeous. I mean, blooming all the way from here, all the way into that border. So it's just a really lovely one. Larger blooms than the mini Vista, but really, really gorgeous. Here's our other Petunia Vista bubblegum. It is just enormous, and it's kind of crawling and snaking its way through these other perennials. I think it looks so beautiful. It's huge, and I just love that everything is so close together in this border. This feels very cottagey and like a real, you know, as a gardener, when you start to have your garden sort of look the way you've imagined it, instead of having the gaps between, you know, this feels really nice. I really love how full this space looks. It looks like a very mature, established garden, and that makes me really happy. Another one that's doing really well every year for us, that's one of my absolute favorites, is another salvia. It's this rockin' deep purple salvia. It looks wonderful. The calyxes on this, like the other salvia, they have these dark calyxes, and they don't dry back brown. So they look fantastic, and you don't ever feel like you need to deadhead them. But if you did want to, they snap off really, really easily. And this is just a fantastic one. I love the rich color of purple. And the hummingbirds just absolutely love this. So this is their all-time favorite salvia. They go after this no matter what. They'll always come here first, and then they'll visit other things. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful one. I love how, you know, if you put this next to, you know, a Petunia mini Vista plum veined, the veining is similar in the plum vein to that bloom color. And so that would be lovely because the flowers are so different. I mean, look at that, the tubular flower, even though this is a trumpet, it's just those shapes, and the overall appearance of them is very different with these spires of really beautiful, rich purple. Fantastic. This one, we have one in a pot here right beside me. It's not looking great because that one has been knocked over, I think, by a fox a few times, and it's also been eaten a little bit by our slugs. But these slugs have completely decimated the pink perfusion salvia. This isn't about what's not doing well, so we won't talk about that one, but that one really does not like our area. In here we have more of those salvias in our porch bed here. And they're just kind of sprinkled throughout. And I love sitting on the porch and watching the hummingbirds just come and have their breakfast or lunch at the salvias. It's really, really nice. Okay, here in our old cottage borders, we have so many of the annuals that are doing really, really well. We've gotten a lot of rain, and so some of the flowers have fallen off of these, but the Rockapolco double wisteria impatien is just one of my absolute favorites. This one looks a little sun stressed, and it, you know, it's lost some of its blooms from our weather the other day. Crazy storm, but they are just gorgeous. I love the color of the blooms. The buds sparkle. They are just so fantastic. I love how tidy they are. They're these little mounds in the front of the border, and I'm so glad we filled this up with these. I'm always going to have this wisteria in our garden. I love that kind of in between purple and pink color. You can really see that. That's one of my favorites from this video. The Cleome, the plum veined, it's sort of that in between purple, pink. It's a wonderful one to sort of marry all of the perennials that we have. And I just love this one. I mean, look at this. They look like little roses. They are stunning. They do die back really well. Usually they fall off before they brown, which is really nice, but sometimes you can come in and clean them up a little bit if you want to, but they are just spectacular. They look so healthy and happy. I love the color. I love that they're sort of freckled with some white, so it makes them shine. Very beautiful. Right next to that, you can see another one. All of our ipomeas are doing so well. This is a gorgeous dark ipomea. I'll try to put all the names on the screen if I can remember to, but this ipomea is fantastic. Ornamental sweet potato vine. It just sort of takes over and it looks amazing. So that's one that is just healthy, fantastic for in-ground planting, especially if you have things like slugs and you live in the Northeast. This is a great one. The ipomea here is looking healthy and robust. I think, what's this one? Something mojito, maybe? Anyway, this one we have in several different places. It's spilling over the path in the front of our garden, and it is amazing. This ipomea is just incredible. The heart-shaped leaves with that jagged edge are just really, really unique looking. Forms this beautiful mat. Covers over our sedum, but that's okay. I love it. I think it's absolutely spectacular and a fantastic annual ground cover, one that I'll definitely be repeating. The other one that I wanted to talk about here is sort of our next stair step up in the border. So we have the Impatiens here, we have these beautiful ipomeas, and then we have our SunPatiens. This is the compact series of SunPatien. This is compact lavender, that's compact lavender splash here and here. The compact lavender has been my absolute favorite this year. It's such a beautiful color. Ignore the names of them because this one is compact lavender and it's not really a lavender color at all. And then the ones behind me here, this is called compact lilac, and this is a very fuchsia color. This one was just, we have 4 in here, I think 4 or 5. And yeah, with all the rain and everything, we lost some blooms, but they're just so vibrant and beautiful. And oh, they just are such a wonderful pairing, I think, with these beautiful hydrangeas that are in bloom, the pinky winkies, and that kind of blush kiss pink of the hydrangea is, it kind of picked up there, and it's just, they're so beautiful. They are these mounds of color. So if you, they do really well for us in the sun, in the shade. So if you have an area that you're just sort of not sure, maybe earlier in the season it gets sun, later in the season it gets shade if you live up north like we do, then I would say SunPatiens are gonna look good from when you plant them until the frost that we've found. They are not touched at all by slugs. They seem to be a pretty foolproof in terms of all of that. They're just a fantastic plant, and I'm so glad that I discovered them and have tested out different ones. And I'd say probably my favorites are the compact lilac and the compact lavender. And then there's a soft pink one that I want to show you over here. So here in our porch bed, we have these really beautiful compact SunPatiens. This is, again, the compact lavender. And yeah, just really, really healthy looking, beautiful plants. I really love them. And having that repetition throughout, they're also repeated in the barrels along our driveway. They're just incredible. The ones I wanted to show you are a softer color, but they tie in really well to all the colors, especially that run along here. And that's this really big flowers on these. large blooms, but it's these really gorgeous soft pink ones. And I think they marry really well with our astilbes. And they pick up the hosta flowers when those are in bloom, and the hyssops as well that are right there. So the back of this border is actually one of my favorite places in the garden. And I'm so glad we can see it from the porch because it's so cheerful to have this little repetition. I think everything looks really beautiful, and I love the color pairings together. Sort of an accident, but really nice. This is not an invasive morning glory. This is one that we planted. It's just kind of made its way over here. But when that blooms, that's really pretty as well as a pairing. Oh, I love that. So fun. So before we head into the backyard, I just wanted to show you a few things that I'm loving at the front here. So we just talked about these barrels, and oh my gosh, I just think these are just 3 plants in here. One coleus, one big white begonia, and one of the compact lavender SunPatiens. The big white begonia is big and white and beautiful, but oh my gosh, this coleus is incredible. I love that this is repeated. It's so fun. And the coleus is just enormous. It's it's got a red inner veining, and then it opens out to burgundy, and then the edges of the leaves are this ruffled green. It's like a light lime zingy green, and it's just so beautiful. The stems are sort of yellow toward the top, and it's just a really healthy looking coleus, which is so exciting because the rest of our coleus this year ate it. They did not make it through our colder spring, cold, wet, miserable spring, and these have done so well in these containers, which is really nice. And I just think this combination is fantastic. So if you have a shadier area, or for example, we have 6 barrels that are lining our driveway here. This side is really shady, and the other side with the other 3 barrels is much sunnier. But if you have an area like that, not every area is like sun, shade, It's a lot of the times you kind of have to play around until you find what likes your space best. And this combination, SunPatien, big white begonia, and the coleus have done both really well in both applications. So I'll show you the other side now, but look how fabulous that coleus looks, especially from this side, because it has that sort of late light here on the side. And I just think it's such a winner. Oh, I love it. This side gets a little bit more sun, and it doesn't have the trees over it. So it did get kind of the SunPatiens, the flowers kind of melt in the rain. But just as, they're huge, they look beautiful, and everything just looks very cohesive and symmetrical, which I really, really love. And then to see this as you're driving in, and to see that kind of colors repeated throughout, it's sort of like this is a mini version of our garden. You know what I mean? We have all of these colors, the ruffly white, the lavender, the burgundy, kind of repeated as you go. So that's really fun. And then the other ones I wanted to show you aren't necessarily considered an annual, they're vegetables. But our kale, our lacinato kale, I am so glad that we planted this at the front of the border. I was going to plant this farther into the border, but then I just thought, oh, well, we have space up front, and why not? They are perfect. They are so spectacular. Look at the leaf variation here. Like this beautiful ipomea that I was talking about that spills onto the path here. Next to that beautiful kale, it just provides such interest if you compare it to any of the other leaves that you're gonna find. That leaf is just so unique. It's got this gray sheen on it, deep blue. I love the ruffly kind of elephant skin of the kale, and you can come out here and harvest them for tofu scramble salads, add them to smoothies or pastas. They're just so fantastic. I absolutely love them. And even though they're getting a little lacy at the bottom, at the base, that's probably slugs or something that's created a little doily for us. But, you know, other than that, like they're not being touched at all. Whereas the ones in our veggie patch are being eaten because it's a monoculture. They're all planted together. So spreading them throughout the cottage garden has been fantastic. Kale, lacinato kale at the front. We also have purple curly kale in the center of the borders, and that one's doing really well also, but these ones here are fantastic. And then this ipomea, look at that. I mean, my goodness, it's absolutely spectacular. I think it's lime something. But let's go to the backyard and I'll show you our English sunken garden and the annuals there. So the first ones that I wanted to talk about are all of our hanging baskets and the window boxes here. We have more ipomea, which is just going crazy. We have not watered these once since we planted them. I'm embarrassed to say. I think once we came through and fertilized the hanging baskets, but other than that, it's just been the rain, and they've been so low maintenance and amazing. There's a SunPatien at the top, and then the ipomea hanging down for each of the hanging baskets, the 5 hanging baskets. Those are performing so well and just looking incredible. They love this spot. And then in our window boxes, we have the Petunia Vista Silverberry and the ipomea. We have I think it's the Raven ipomea, and then we have the petunias. The hummingbirds, I did not expect to love the blend that we put in there, but they love the terenia. They love those supertunias, and the supertunias are sort of climbing up our windows. It just looks like a sea of white blooms as you look out. It is so romantic from inside. It's one of my favorite things that we've done here, and I'm so grateful that we did it. The terenias are fantastic. Those ones just are doing really, really well. And I think the combination of the dark ipomea and then the lime green is so beautiful. So here in our English sunken garden, the stars of the show are the salvias, these rock and play in the blue salvias that are just so huge and beautiful. And I'm so grateful that we planted so many of those. The hummingbirds come out here all the time, and sitting out here amongst the hummingbirds and bees and butterflies and the cicadas and the birds and the owls, it's quite amazing. I'm so grateful that we did this project. But here is one that I think is just such a winner. If you haven't planted this sedum, this is the lemon coral sedum. It has taken everything that we've thrown at it. We had one in a very shallow terracotta bowl, and we have that on the porch, so much shadier. And this one is definitely more of a chartreuse color. It's got more warmth to it, a little bit more of a yellow color to these succulent leaves. But on the porch, it's a little bit of a cooler green. It looks really fresh and bright, and they are just amazing. They are much more compact out here. They definitely spread, but much more compact. In that dish, they get a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, so it really depends on what you're going for, but it's one that you can definitely try in a shadier area, even though it doesn't look like it would be. It's so amazing. Total set it and forget it annual. Beautiful, covers over this stone stair step really nicely. I love it, and Bert loves it too. We just really, really adore this annual, and I can't believe we haven't grown it before. I just thought it would have been something that we would have liked our LA garden better than here, but it seems to really love it here. Another one that's been doing really well, Rock and Blue Suede Shoes is doing well. Not as prolific of a bloomer as the other salvias for us. So still my favorites are Rock and Deep Purple Salvia and the Play in the Blues, but that's another one to mention. It's really wonderful, and the hummingbirds will still go to that one. Back here, our Cashmere Superbena is doing really well, but the Superbenas in general this year just haven't been very impressive. They've been okay, but nothing really to write home about. Look how beautiful these are. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love them. And I don't know if you can tell, but the bumblebees are just kind of flying all over these. I love our bumblebees. Okay, so that is it. Those are the annuals that are looking really, really great this time of year and things that I will be repeating next year. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, annuals are such a fantastic way of presenting and providing color and interest and blooms for the pollinators, even when your perennials and shrubs are coming in and out of bloom. So they're a very, very vital part of a cottage garden. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Like this video if you like, subscribe if you're not already. It really does help us out. And happy gardening. I'll just hang out here with my bumblebees.